Hello, everyone. Welcome back to In the Yard. Restart. Restart. Why am I a little jittery today? Hello, everyone. Welcome
Yeah.
back to In the Yard podcast with your hosts, Collin and Braeden Cox. And for our fellow Yankees fans out there, I'm sure you guys have all watched the press conference from Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman last night. So Braeden and I are going to give our reactions right here live on In the Yard. It's going to be real raw reactions. Feel like we're not going to beat around the bush here. I think we can give our straight thoughts, and not and be pretty straightforward about our thoughts and reactions to these quotes. So, Braeden, I think you wanted to start off with the quote saying, so Brian Cashman says this: "I've been here with the Yankees for a long time, whether that's a good thing for our fans or perceptions or not. I'm proud of our operations. I think we have a great group of baseball people." Give me a reaction to that one.
I mean, like, that's the right thing to say, right?
Right.
I can't really like ding him for saying like the right thing. I think we have a great group of baseball people around. I get he has to say that, but we did just finish fourth in the division, and I keep hearing this word analytics being thrown around. So that great group of baseball people, the I can't blame him. I can't blame him for saying that. I'm not going to be like,
Bad.
oh, like he shouldn't have said that. Like he said the right
I
thing.
agree. I
It's
agree.
just kind of like great group of baseball people. Maybe I don't know. I
Right.
haven't seen it.
You don't want can't throw anyone in the bus in that situation.
Yeah,
But I just it's gonna get a little more juicy as we go on. So that one wasn't bad. Like that's you got to say
not
that.
too bad. It's just kind of like you have to say it because if he doesn't say it, then it's bad if he doesn't. So
What are you gonna say? Oh yeah, our team isn't good.
exactly. I
Um,
mean,
um, did you? I think
yeah, I could go to the second one here that I got. So it says that Cat or Cashman pushes back on the notion that the Yankees are an analytically driven organization. Quote is no one is doing their deep dives. They're just throwing bull and accusing us of being run analytically. To be said we're guided by analytics as a driver is a lie. And you go first. You go first. Let me hear what you gotta say here.
my reaction to that one is I think I just think he's flat out lying. I think they're trying to use analytics. I just think they're not good at it at all. Like I think they're
Yeah.
horrible at it. That's my reaction. I think that's his way of saying that. Oh, we don't use analytics. Um, you know, and then even if what he's saying isn't a lie, why don't you start using analytics so you don't finish fourth behind the Orioles, Rays, and Blue Jays every single year from here on out? Um,
Yeah.
so overall, this one's just a bad one in my opinion.
Yeah.
So because he's either lying or just has no idea what he's doing. So
Yes.
um,
100%. I agree with you 100%.
yeah, so that one not the greatest. Let's go to
Next one.
Brian Cashman says he quote gets a kick out of unquote people calling the Joey Gallo and Sonny Gray trades bad. Since Joey Gallo's left us, who's picked him up? Two playoff teams. Sonny Gray. He's currently in the competition for a Cy Young award. Um, Again, this one I feel like you had to trade Joey Gallo away. I'm not sure
This
that
one this
leading
one infuriates me. I'm not gonna lie to you.
is what
It infuriates me, this one.
does it. I don't know
Yeah, because
I don't know what led to the quote. I'm kind of just reading off of Twitter here.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, no, I see the
but
same tweet you're talking about.
it sounds like he probably tried to beat around the bush again. They're probably like, oh, why didn't you trade these guys earlier? Or why did you trade these guys? And he probably just jumped to Joey Gallo and Sonny Gray.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I mean, to me, it's very defensive. He's making excuses. He says since Joey Gallo's left us, who's picked him up? Two playoffs teams. It almost to me is like he's trying to justify like, oh well, we let Joey Gallo go, and two contenders have picked him up. Like almost as if like two contenders have
yeah,
made him into something special. He sits the bench.
I don't know what he's trying. I don't know what he's trying to say there. With
I don't know what he's talking to say here, but what are you talking about? Joey Gallo sits the bench. He wasn't even on the roster for the Twins this year, like in the playoffs.
right,
And Sonny Gray, like, and listen, like at first, like when we had Sonny Gray, you pulled up the tweet. I wanted to trade him. Maybe that was just like in the moment. in the
Yeah.
moment I wanted to trade him, but obviously he's in the competition to be a Cy Young award winner. Um, but like I don't really necessarily ding him for trading Sonny Gray. My problem is why are you bringing up Sonny Gray? Like, why were we not good enough to make Sonny Gray what he is today?
That's
Like,
what, that's the point I was gonna get to. I was gonna say, how come all these other teams could make like Sonny Gray, Nathan Eovaldi, Jordan Montgomery so good, and like what are the Yankees doing wrong? Like obviously their pitch. I don't know if it's their pitching, coaching staff. They're I don't know what it is. Matt Blake, I feel like he's done a pretty good job with the reliever side of things. Um,
sure.
but the starting pitching, yeah, it's always been ever since I've been watching from like 2005, probably. Starting pitching has never been great. Obviously, you'll probably have Garrett Cole as a Cy Young, but he's supposed to win the Cy Young. He signed him for $330 million, right? Um, but yeah, I just think there's something that's where I was going with this. There's something wrong with their pitching and hitting coaching staff.
It's
And
like we can gather the talent, find the talent, whether it's through the minors or you know whatever it may be, but we can't develop and execute on it. Like Monty just won a World Series.
yeah, and you've always won a second one in the past 5 years.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah. And then
So
I also wanted to jump to the fact that so he uses Joey Gallo and Sonny Gray as the trades, right? But what about the Gio Urshela and Gary for Josh Donaldson trade? What about that trade? What about when he traded away Montgomery, when he traded away Montgomery for Bader, who, was a solid player, but Monty a year later ends up winning the World Series with the Rangers, then Bader ends up being DFA'd this year by the Yankees. Like
yeah,
it's I've been saying this since March of this year on our podcast that Cashman just I feel like he's just this roster construction is just abysmal, and I just feel like they're just putting themselves in a deeper hole.
yeah.
Years go on.
I agree. I agree. We're on the same page 100% there. Uh, I'll jump to the next tweet I have up here. It says Brian Cashman says the Yankees need two outfielders, quote, preferably left-handed, reinforced pitching, and notes the Yankees infield, quote, surplus. And he says, do you try to find a lane to get Peraza involved? We have Gleyber Torres in the last year of his contract. I want to hear your reaction to this because you're a big Peraza stan.
Right. So I think so that wasn't the exact quote saying basically like they couldn't find a spot for Peraza in the lineup.
Yeah, he was basically saying like even if Peraza was hitting, there's no spot for him in the lineup, which drives me nuts. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, that drives me nuts too because you have to at least give him a chance. He's been in the minors for like 2 or 3 years now, like with solid numbers. Like
Yeah,
obviously Volpe won the job over him at shortstop this year, but Peraza, he got called up, got sent back down, and got called up again. I feel like he was doing just fine. You gotta give him a little bit time to develop. I understand you want to trust in Glaber. I understand you want to trust in Volpe, but why was Josh Donaldson and Hurt Rizzo? Why were they all playing over Peraza for that long? That's the question. And then, and yeah, obviously the answer from Cashman is, oh, we're paying these guys, we have to play them, and he's just too stubborn to admit he was wrong. From what I get from these Brian Cashman quotes, it symbolizes this Yankees team, and the fact that no one is held accountable. Cashman doesn't hold himself accountable. Boone doesn't really hold himself accountable. None of the players seem to hold themselves accountable, except for a few exceptions like Cole and Judge. And I think that all just starts internally, from a GM and managerial standpoint. And that another thing that needs to be addressed is I feel like they're just not the same Yankees from the 90s or the early 2000s and even in 2009. It's not no one it's never anyone's fault. It's always just pointing fingers and it's saying, oh, it's okay, we'll get them next year.
yeah. I mean, all that this quote, what him saying essentially like we have Peraza, but like even if Peraza was hitting well, like we wouldn't have a spot with him. All that tells me is him basically saying we can boil it down to this is like, but we got Donaldson, and it's like, dude, what do you mean we have Donaldson? Have you not watched the dude in the box over the past 2 seasons?
Hmm.
What do you mean? Like I get, like you said, I get about the development of the players. I get it, right? And I understand like you pay these guys and you want to trust them. But like, you got to be kidding me to say something like, "Oh, well, even Peraza was like lighting it up in the majors. He's killing it." It's like, but we got Donaldson. I'm paying Donaldson all this money. I traded away all these assets for Donaldson. You know what I mean? Like, what does it matter? It's just silly. It's to me that's just very, very silly. I
think
can't stand that
Cashman
he said that.
Cashman really made himself look like a bozo here, and just infuriated. I feel like all the Yankees fan base like almost disrespected them.
Yeah. And the one thing here he did say that, they want to prioritize two outfielders, preferably lefty. Obviously, I think we're both in agreement there. If we can get our hands on someone like a Soto, Bellinger, I don't want to jinx it, obviously. Um, that should be the goal, but we haven't gotten to a specific quote about this yet. But it doesn't sound to me from his standpoint that he's like, not that they're going to make an attempt to go get Soto if he's available, right? But it's almost like he thinks like he's comfortable with this team.
Right? Yeah, that's
I,
and it's the same thing as last year.
yeah,
They got swept by the Astros in 2022, right? Swept by the Astros in the ALCS. You knew there had to be some changes. They go out, they get Rodon, okay, right? But that's kind of all they really did. And Rodon was was out for 80% of the year and then comes back and doesn't do the greatest. You can't really pinpoint, oh, this guy sucks just yet because
yeah,
they let him warm up a little. But yeah, I just feel like
it's wrong.
it just comes down to not being prepared and not constructing your roster correctly. Like Astros, they dealt with injuries all year. The Rangers, DeGrom, their ace, the best pitcher in baseball, pitched like what did we say last episode? Like five
Six,
starts,
I think it was like 6 or 7.
6 or 7 games. Then he was out for the year. Corey Seager was out for 2 months. Their best player, he was out for 2 months. So, and they were still when they were playing their best ball was in the beginning of the season. Besides the playoffs, obviously, but like I think he also had a quote where he's like, "Injuries are the reason why we couldn't win." Didn't he said something like that too, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
something
then
like that. I
that's
don't
not
care.
an excuse. It's not an excuse because these guys are injury prone. It's not a
Yeah,
secret. Stanton's injury prone. Rodon's injury prone.
and he said that. He did say that.
He said like so you need to prepare for when these guys inevitably go down. You have to have someone that can step right in, and they just don't have that. We were
And he's
starting
so defensive.
Domingo
Like,
Domingo German, who threw the perfect game. That was his only good start of the year, I think.
yeah,
And then he was like
and he's
a
gone.
pitcher. Yeah, he's gone now. The DFA'd him. So hopefully some more moves are coming. Um,
And the thing about Stanton drives me up the wall too, because he basically is like, oh well, if you don't think injuries are like significant, like in the result of our season, like you're crazy. Like, yes, obviously. And then he goes on to say about Stanton, he's like, oh well, whenever Stanton's healthy, he hits bombs. And he's like, this is the first time in his career that when Stanton was healthy, which he was wishy-washy all year, he wasn't hitting bombs. It's like, how old is Stanton? Like, what do you mean? Like, what exactly what you're saying? Like, you need to be prepared. If these guys are injury prone, don't come back to me when they get injured and being like, well, if you don't think injuries matter, like you're nuts. Like, we're not saying that. We're just saying that if you know they're injury prone, which you just told me they were, then why are we not prepared for it? Plus, he's older. Same thing with Rizzo. These guys are older. They're not gonna bounce back as quick.
getting up there. Judge with the toe thing. I know that was kind of fluky, but he has an injury a year. Bader, he wasn't really healthy for a full month without going down. Um,
Then there's the whole Rizzo thing where like he had a concussion for like it seemed like many months,
right.
and they were still playing him. Like, dude,
What was going on with that too? So you had the Rizzo concussion where he's out for a week and he comes
he got a
back.
concussion in like May.
Yeah, he got a concussion in May, was out for like a week or two, right? And then
Yeah.
comes back in like June, plays till around August and September, and they shut him down because he still has concussion symptoms. Like, what was going on there?
What do you mean?
Another thing.
Oh
That's another
man.
thing we should address is their training staff.
Yeah.
Like, why are all these athletes? I'm sorry, but there's no reason why Stanton should be going down as much as he does. No reason why Rizzo should 3 months later still be feeling the symptoms of his concussion.
Yeah.
Like just like stuff like that. Like there's just so much going on internally. I feel like it's like almost corrupt in a way. Like
No,
I don't know if they don't know what they're doing, if they're trying to save money. I don't know. But
yeah,
yeah,
but dude, it's like it, and I don't know the full story about the thing with Rizzo, but it's like, for one, why didn't he say anything? Right? Because he was playing awful.
he was playing bad and he's having trouble seeing the ball. Maybe he's like,
So like, it's just like there's obviously something we don't know that they know. Like there's got to be a reason
right.
why. Like, did Rizzo not say anything? Like, I, I don't know. Why would he not say anything? It's a professional athlete we're talking about. Why would he just hide it? You know what I
Maybe,
mean?
maybe he trusted the training staff though. Maybe say, yeah, you're good to go. You could play. And he
Yeah,
probably
that's
won't have a choice.
possible.
Probably doesn't, probably he's like, okay, maybe I'll have a slow start,
That's
but
terrible if true. If he was just casually playing and was like not
the whole
ready to play.
situation is horrible. Well, there's something else about with the injuries too. There's one other
Another
thing.
another tweet, you mean?
No, no, no. Like something happened over the season besides the Rizzo concussion. But one other thing happened. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what are they doing with the training staff? I forget what the other thing was though.
There was the judge toe.
The judge told like that was fluky. Like, what are you gonna do about that? But
Stanton was weird.
it was something. I don't know what it was, but
I don't remember either.
it was something. And I'm like, wow. Like it can't get any worse. Maybe it was when Rodon came back, and then did he go back on the IL after he came back?
Or was it like Nestor?
What maybe it was Nestor. I don't know.
Nestor, one of the relief pitchers.
Yeah.
Regardless, Rizzo is enough of an example in itself.
Right.
If the guy was playing 2 months and he shouldn't have been playing for 2 months, that's unacceptable. I don't care who you are. It's just, you know,
Mine,
it's
like
nuts.
I just have no hope for the Yankees. That's why Braden and I are both going to be claiming our 2024 MLB teams right now.
Oh,
Um,
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Gonna start taking these hats down. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not gonna shy away from the Yankees. I still have
Obviously.
I still have hope, but there's an ounce in me that's getting really, really, really frustrated with
All
the
right. What if
organization
I
just
tell
because.
you? What if I tell you the Yankees don't have Bellinger or Soto, and Oswaldo Cabrera is starting in left field on opening day?
I mean, I'm still gonna watch. I'll probably still be at the stadium, but like I'm not gonna be thrilled about it. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm not ready to jump ship yet because again, this team, even though they haven't won a World Series in about 15 years, haven't even touched the World Series in about 15 years, they made a couple ALCS appearances, and if it wasn't for those Astros,
That's fair.
in 20, I mean, there was a couple years in there. There was the year
You're
that,
starting to
what was
sound
it,
like Cashman a
2017?
little bit there, though.
What?
You're starting to sound like Cashman a little bit there. They're
I,
kind of
I'm not
settling.
trying. I'm not trying to make
That's a couple
excuses,
times.
but don't tell me that if all we shouldn't have at least made one World Series in all those years.
I think I don't know.
Like, look at the year the Astros. What was that? 17,
Yeah,
18?
the Yankees did take
You know
them
what I
game.
mean? Like,
That team was horrible.
you're right. You're right, but you've
Horrible.
already got them there. You already got them there. They lost like
No
in
way.
game 7.
Horrible's not the right word. They were like the Diamondbacks a little bit.
They
They
were
were
not the better team,
no. They
but they
took
were there, and they could have won that. They probably would have won that series if it wasn't for,
they took them
you
to
know what I
game
mean?
7. Took them 7
I'm not
games.
trying to make excuses. I'm just saying,
Oh.
like, it's not like this team has been like bottom 10 in the league the past 10 years. Like, they've been relevant. It's just frustrating.
But it's also frustrating with all the money they're spending too.
Yeah, on the wrong people.
Right.
Yeah.
Donaldson, Stanton.
Um,
You could throw Rodon in there right now. You could throw um and I just feel like the decisions they've made, the worst trade, I think,
yeah.
in all sports, that I've seen was when I got the notification saying Gio and Gary Sanchez have been traded for Josh Donaldson. And I think it was our relief pitcher. Wasn't it? Was it IKF or something?
Yeah, you know, that's like the NBA equivalent of when the Nets and the Celtics did that trade for the pick that ended up being Jason Tatum, and the Nets got like Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, who
That
were like
this one's
ancient.
worse, man.
No, it's no that no. This one's definitely worse, but it's like the NBA equivalent where it's like, let's go pick up this old guy who has a lot of experience, who's a great defensive third baseman, but can't hit, you know, anything that's thrown at him.
You already had a great defensive third baseman.
I'm with you.
Who
I'm
could
with
hit?
you. And now Gio's with Anaheim, so
Yeah. I mean, he was down all year, but
yeah,
he didn't I think he like tore his groin sliding into third.
something like that. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I said, I think
I want to get your thoughts on finally because we're getting toward the end here. Um, the quote like the quote that went like viral out of this where Cashman says, "Pretty effing good." What do you think about that, Colin?
I was saving that one for last also. Um, obviously speaking out of his butt, I think there if he truly believes that the Yankees are screwed for the next 5 years, because
Yeah,
look at their division first of all.
yeah,
Orioles, who weren't supposed to be good this year, won 102 games. They're only getting better. You have the Rays, who are always going to be there with their system, the way they run things. The Blue Jays are a couple of good pitchers away from being, a playoff contender.
definitely, 100%.
And I'm hearing a lot of Shohei or Yamamoto to the Red Sox.
So am I.
So I don't know what he's thinking. Because the Yankees are very close to being dead last in the division for the next 5 years. And
Yeah,
that's not
yeah.
an overstatement. I knew coming into the season, like it's like Yankees were favored to win. I'm like, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough if the Yankees win the division. Like obviously, I'm
Were
gonna
they favored to win the division at the beginning of the year? That's only because they were in the CS the year before.
yeah. I mean, but, maybe if Judge doesn't go down for 2 months, maybe
True, true. No, it Judge
healthy.
doesn't get hurt there. They make the playoffs.
That's
I
fair,
told
but that doesn't happen, and it shouldn't be that much of a drop off if
you.
star player goes down, right? Because like I said before, you look at the Rangers, Seager and DeGrom, both
Yeah,
they're
it
best players
mattered.
on the team. They didn't miss the majority of the season. Not
Garcia was super hot in the playoffs,
Seager
and he
missed
got
it
he
too. Yeah,
Garcia was super hot in the playoffs, and he got shut down in the middle of the World Series, and they
yeah.
didn't lose a game even after
Oh,
he went down. So
yeah. Just him saying they're pretty good. Like, yeah, I understand. You finish above 500. If Judge doesn't go down.
barely.
If Judge doesn't go down, you probably make the playoffs, like you said. But to say that they're really effing good when there's three better teams in the division alone, and then you also have the Rangers in the West who just won the World Series. You have the Astros
And
who
the
have the
Astros,
past 8 years. Um, who Angels today just hired Ron Washington. Maybe they're cooking up something over there. Who knows?
Seattle. I mean, I'm gonna throw Seattle out there.
Yeah. So to him to say they're pretty good is a slap in the face to us Yankees fans.
Yeah. I honestly thought when I saw it, I thought it was, that Twitter page, the New York Porch Sports. Like, I thought it was that. I thought it was a joke. I
Yeah.
didn't think, I genuinely did not think that that was a real quote. And I was like, oh my God. Like, he believes this.
Right.
Because why else would he say it?
No, he believes it. I don't think like I said, I just Cashman he doesn't hold himself accountable. He
It's
can't
very defensive. Yeah, it's just,
admit when he makes a mistake. That's why he didn't trade Donaldson, or that's why he
yeah.
took DFA him. He just never admits when he's wrong. He's never like, okay, yeah, that was a mistake. He always gets defensive. He always has an excuse for everything. And I think it honestly all just stems back to the Yankees' poor, no, I don't want to say poor play, but why they can't get over that edge of making to the World Series and winning the World Series, because there's always an excuse for everything.
Yeah. And I mean, there was all those talks, I'm sure you heard as we wrap here, um, about this like internal audit, or I don't know if it's internal, external audit. I keep hearing this word audit being thrown around and how it's like a full year audit and like it hasn't started yet. I'm just like, what does this mean? What do you mean audit? You should always be auditing the team and other teams.
You're the finance guy. You tell me what audit is.
Well, I'm not saying that necessarily. I'm just saying like, what do you like? I understand the point, right? It needs to be done, but you should always be auditing your team and the other teams to make it better,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. No.
And all I think of this audit is like, okay, it hasn't started yet. Strike one. Two, they're already like kind of deferring to like the idea that like, well, it's not about the Yankees, it's about the Orioles and it's about Toronto and it's about Tampa. Like it's about those teams doing it different. And it's like, dude, I don't care. You know what I mean? I don't care. Of course they're good because they're doing it right. Why aren't you doing it right? I don't need you to tell me that they're doing it right. I can see it in the record. I can see they're in the playoffs. So
Yeah. With with half the payroll the Yankees are playing.
yep.
Orioles not.
Especially the Orioles. The Orioles got like the bottom, like they're one of the
Blue
bottom
Jays are
three.
up there. Yeah. I just I just don't know what I just think the Yankees might be honestly going downhill if they don't make any serious
Yeah,
changes.
they gotta make some moves. It sounds like that they want, he mentioned the left fielders. That's like promising to hear, but like I don't really see
I,
what entices a
I'm
player
not
as
gonna
we
I'm not
like
buying.
what entices Juan Soto to want to go to the Yankees besides Aaron Judge being there right now. That's
No.
the thing. That's the thing that I'm kind of missing here, and that's what worries me here as we close.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
I think that about wraps it up. I don't even think that we had enough time to get all our frustrations out. Um, but
We'll see.
hopefully we
I'm
speak.
sure we'll hear more stuff.
Hopefully we're speaking for our fellow Yankees fans. Hopefully they make some moves. Hopefully something changes in the organization, so they can start winning again. And
Cool.
yeah, thanks everyone for listening in the yard, Collin and Braeden, and we'll see you next time.